Welcome back to all my respected viewers and subscribers. We are in here at your own loving channel, The Global Informer. In this video, we have brought a complete package of most famous, or may be called as most infamous spy in the global geopolitical history. He is Aldrich Ames. In this video, we will have complete study about A to Z's of him. Let's try to find that what were his acts that made his name so much talk. Of the town Aldrich Ames, the CIA traitor who sold America's secrets to Russia. For decades, the Central Intelligence Agency prided itself on being the most elite intelligence force in the world. An organization built on loyalty, patriotism, and the silent war against America's enemies. But what happens when the enemy isn't on the outside? What happens when the greatest threat is within? This is the story of Aldrich Ames, the CIA officer who didn't just betray his country. He sold its deepest secrets for nothing more than greed. His treachery cost lives, shook the foundations of U.S. intelligence, and changed the rules of espionage forever. What were the news running in every channel were something like as mentioned below. Breaking news: Aldrich Ames, a senior CIA officer, has been arrested in what officials are calling the worst intelligence breach in U.S. history. Ames allegedly provided classified intelligence to the Soviet Union for nearly a decade. The damage caused by Ames's betrayal is beyond comprehension. How did a man entrusted with America's most guarded secrets become its greatest traitor? This is his story. From the very beginning. Early life and entry into the CIA. Aldrich Hazen Ames was born on May 26, 1941, in River Falls, Wisconsin. His father, Carlton Ames, was an intelligence officer, a man who dedicated his life to serving the United States. But despite his family's connection to national security, young Aldrich showed no signs of extraordinary talent or ambition. He was a quiet, unremarkable child. Intelligent, yes, but not exceptional. His grades were average, his interests minimal. But there was one thing that defined him from an early age: an obsession with secrecy and a desire to prove himself. In 1959, Ames enrolled at the University of Chicago, but struggled academically. He failed multiple courses, forcing him to drop out. His father, now working in CIA counterintelligence, pulled strings to get him a clerical job at the agency in 1962. Ames had no remarkable skills. He wasn't an expert in espionage, nor was he an exceptional analyst. But what he lacked in talent, he made up for in persistence. Slowly, he climbed the ranks, moving from a simple records keeper to a case officer in the Soviet division. His new role granted him access to top-secret information, a privilege that would eventually spell disaster for America. Chapter 2: The Makings of a Traitor. Just imagine this scene. Ames, now in his late 30s, is sitting at a bar, drinking heavily. His first wife, Nancy, is seen yelling at him at home. Bills pile up on a desk. Ames was drowning in debt. He developed a heavy drinking habit, affecting his work performance. His marriage was falling apart. Ames is being reprimanded by a supervisor for sloppy work. He walks out of the office frustrated. Despite working for the world's most secretive organization, Aldrich Ames was reckless. His drinking habits were well known. His financial struggles were obvious. But in the world of intelligence, sometimes the most obvious threats are ignored. In April 1985, Ames walked into the Soviet embassy and made a fateful decision. He handed over the names of nearly every Soviet agent working for the U.S. in exchange for $50,000. It was the first payment of many. For the first time in his life, Aldrich Ames felt powerful. He wasn't just a government worker anymore. He was a man playing both sides of the war. And he had just taken his first step toward becoming America's deadliest traitor. Chapter 3. Double Agent. The damage he caused. The moment Aldrich Ames handed over classified CIA documents to the KGB, the Soviet Union gained an advantage it hadn't had in decades. And the first thing they did, they started cleaning house. Between 1985 and 1991, over a dozen high-ranking Soviet informants working for the US disappeared. Some were arrested, others were executed. The Americans had no idea what had gone wrong. They only knew one thing: someone had betrayed them. Ames's first payment of $50,000 was only the beginning. Over the next 9 years, the KGB funneled him more than $2.7 million, making him the highest-paid spy in American history. Despite his sudden wealth, Ames wasn't discreet. He paid off his mortgage in cash, spent lavishly, and took expensive vacations. And yet, no one in the CIA questioned how a mid-level analyst could afford such a lifestyle. The signs were all there, but the US intelligence community was blind. Chapter 4. The Hunt for the Mole. By 1991, it was clear there was a mole inside the CIA. Too many assets had been compromised. Too many operations had failed. Someone was selling secrets to the Soviets. But who? For nearly 2 years, the FBI and CIA searched for the traitor. But Ames was careful. He used dead drops, leaving packages in random locations for Soviet handlers to collect. He avoided detection, lied effortlessly during security screenings, and continued leaking top-secret files to the enemy. Wait a minute, this guy's salary is only $60,000 a year. So how the hell did he buy a $540,000 house in cash? The room goes silent. Another agent flips through pages. Wire transfers, deposits, expensive purchases. Gentlemen, we found our mole. For months, the FBI followed Ames everywhere. They tapped his phones, monitored his bank accounts, and even searched his trash. What they found was undeniable proof. Ames was still meeting with Russian agents and still leaking American secrets. FBI agent, it's time to bring him in. Chapter 5. The Arrest, Trial, and Legacy. FBI agent, through a loudspeaker. Aldrich Ames, step out of the vehicle. Ames looks up, stunned. His hands grip the wheel. For a second, he considers driving away, but he knows it's over. Slowly, he steps out with his hands raised. The agents rush forward, pinning him against the car. Aldrich Ames, you are under arrest for espionage against the United States of America. In April 1994, Ames pleaded guilty to espionage. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. His wife received 63 months behind bars. The damage was irreversible. The U.S. intelligence community had been compromised beyond repair. Lives were lost, trust was shattered, and all for what? A few $1 million. Ames in prison. Aldrich Ames sits in prison to this day, a man who traded his country for greed. His name is now synonymous with treason. His betrayal, a cautionary tale. Because in the world of espionage, the greatest enemy might not be on the outside. It might be the one standing right next to you. Now moving further, here are some shocking facts about Aldrich Ames, one of the most infamous spies in U.S. history. 1. He sold U.S. secrets for over 8 years. Without being caught, Ames began spying for the Soviet Union in 1985 and continued for nearly a decade before the CYA and FBI finally arrested him in 1994. During this time, he caused unprecedented damage to U.S. intelligence. 2. He exposed over 100 CIA operations and dozens of informants. Ames compromised more than 100 covert U.S. operations and directly exposed at least 25 CIA informants inside the Soviet Union. Many of these informants were executed or disappeared after their identities were revealed. 3. He received over $4.6 million. From the KGB, the most money. Any U.S. spy ever got Ames was the highest paid spy in American history. He received millions of dollars from the KGB and later Russian intelligence, far more than other double agents like Robert Hansen. His lavish lifestyle raised suspicion, but he still got away with it. Despite earning a modest government salary, Ames suddenly started living a life of luxury. Bought a $540,000 house in cash, drove a Jaguar XJ6, spent thousands on designer clothes and jewelry, took exotic vacations with his wife. Even though CIA colleagues noticed his extravagant spending, it took years before the FBI seriously investigated him. 5. He passed polygraph tests. Even while spying, Ames took and passed multiple CIA polygraph, lie detector tests. Even while actively betraying the U.S., he later admitted that he was never nervous during these tests because he had convinced himself that he was winning against the U.S. intelligence system. 6. His arrest was almost delayed because of bureaucratic mistakes. Even after the FBI gathered strong evidence, they hesitated to arrest him for months, fearing political backlash if they were wrong. If Ames had suspected he was under surveillance, he could have easily fled to Russia. 7. He got his wife involved in his espionage, and she went to prison. 2. Ames's wife, Rosario Ames, knew about his spying activities and helped him launder the money. She was sentenced to 5 years in prison, while Ames got life without parole. 8. His betrayal led to the largest CIA spy hunt in history. After multiple CIA assets were executed, the agency suspected there was a high-level mole. The investigation was so intense that the CIA wrongfully accused innocent officers, nearly ruining careers before they finally caught Ames. 9. He showed no remorse for his actions. Even after his arrest, Ames never expressed regret for betraying his country. He even justified his actions, saying the CIA was corrupt and that his spying was a political statement rather than just greed. 10. He is still alive and serving a life sentence. Ames is currently incarcerated at the Allenwood U.S. Penitentiary in Pennsylvania. Unlike some spies who were executed, he is still alive and has occasionally given interviews from prison, where he remains unrepentant. Bonus shocking facts. He tried to continue spying from prison. The FBI intercepted letters he sent, where he hinted at still having classified knowledge. He blamed his arrest on alcoholism. Ames claimed that his drinking habits made him careless, which led to his downfall. He started as a loyal CIA officer. Before his betrayal, he had spent over 20 years as a trusted CIA analyst. Aldrich Ames's story is one of greed, arrogance, and one of the most devastating betrayals in CIA history. So viewers, what do you think about Aldrich Ames? Was his greed worth the cost? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the world's most shocking spy cases, don't forget to subscribe. Till then, thank you, God bless you.